the trolls are after you, like, and they're after your organization or something, or you personally. It's like, what do you do? And I think the two strategies are either you turn your full force and fight the trolls, or you basically let other people fight the trolls as you keep continuing doing what you're doing. And I kind of think the second one would be most for most people the better strategy, right? Because like what happens is the trolls, they go after where the goodwill got built up, and then if like the leader of the goodwill area, the organization, I don't know, say dies, then it's a target. Like they're like, oh my goodness, all this goodwill is sitting there. They're gonna cash in on it by making conspiracies or do whatever they do, right? And then it's like, okay, so what do you do if you're part of that? Then it's like you would think that you can, since like the problem is, this is where I think the problem is. You think that the sincere person that generated the goodwill by good intended actions would be like, try to ask the troll, hey troll, can't you see I'm totally open, I'm totally being completely honest, everything I'm doing, I'm doing my best, I might make mistakes, but I'm doing my best. But the troll, obviously, you can't do that to a troll, because the troll, if you try to be honest to the troll sees it as a weakness, right? They're going to be like, dude, this guy's a sucker. He doesn't even know what the game is. He's trying to, and so they're gonna lawyer up, and they're gonna act like you're attacking them when you're just trying to be sincere, right? They're gonna make it into a reality TV show drama. Oh my, they're going after me, and this. So I feel like if you recognize that, I think the better strategy is like, because you have the actual focus, you have the actual goodwill that was accumulated legitimately, and they're from like a Ben Shapiro term, they're like the scavengers, right? They're trying to feed off of that goodwill. They're going to cash in, they're going to get their bag or whatever, right? So then it's like, so I kind of feel like if you put the focus on them, then they're just going to manipulate that to get their bag or whatever, you know? So what you have to do is you just keep pointing the actual goodwill that you actually got legitimately towards something else, and then they have to kind of, and then the trolls have to kind of try to bait you into pointing your goodwill light in their direction, because they want the attention. The attention is what they feed on, right? So like, okay, so it's either the strategy is either you go full force at them, or you point your attention somewhere else, and then you just keep your head up and keep going forward. And then I think the fight needs to happen on like the internets, right? Where it's like the truth tellers against the trolls, and it gets ugly, and it's like satire upon satire. But it's like, but even though the target is like this other person or organization, they're not the one that's actually, it's not actually their fight, right? It's like it's not actually that's what I feel like. You should just keep doing the thing, and then you let the internet duke it out with the trolls versus the truth tellers thing, and then it'll die down once I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking, if I was in, like, what would you do if you're in that? I don't know. That's what I would think, but maybe I'm wrong. That's my unprofessional advice. Anyway, so this is my satire on the trolley thing lately, and it is a satire, so it's supposed to be an over the top satire. So if you like, so it's anyway. So comic satire rewrite of the troll narratives that are some of them that are going around these days. So, disclaimer before we begin: if you believe any part of this story, man, you need to switch to decaf and stop popping pills, because it's ridiculous. Which is exactly the kind of thing that's out there. Look, I don't like spreading conspiracy theories. I'm a responsible adult. I recycle. I put my shopping cart back. But I heard this from some very important, very serious, definitely not on probation journalists. So obviously, I feel obligated that I have to pass it on to you, because some legitimate people told me something, and I have to. So now I gotta put it out there. Apparently, the recent violent attacks on conservatives, yeah, those weren't done by humans. They weren't done by humans. No, according to my sources, very credible sources, mind you, I can't tell you who they are, but I know people. You don't know who I know. You don't know who I know, but I know people. They were orchestrated, these attacks, by gay, magically resurrected dinosaurs. Now, again, I know that this might sound out there, okay? But I know people, all right? I have sources, all right? So they were helping operate a space-borne, mind-warping occult laser. The dinosaurs are operating, the gay dinosaurs that were resurrected are operating the space laser, okay? Now, like, hear me out. I know you, okay. It's own, and this space laser, by the way, as you probably know, a lot of people know this part of the story, but they don't know the whole story like I know. The space laser is owned by a large family headquartered somewhere vaguely eastward, because all conspiracies require at least one mysterious directional compass reference. So now, I know this sounds unbelievable, but hear me out, people. Hear me out. You don't get it. You don't see how deep the rabbit hole goes, but you want to hang with me. I'll tell you how deep the rabbit hole goes. My sources are backed by top-tier journalists with resumes printed on paper so glossy it was CPS protection. Now, I mean, I can't tell you who they are because, reasons and whatnot, but trust me. See, as we all learned from the recent discoveries borne out by hard-hitting, truth-seeking journalists, not the architects out there, not the people out in the field digging up the bones. Those are the ones that are in on the conspiracy theory, right? The dinosaurs went extinct due contrary to lies taught by schools by being gay, resulting in, let's call it, a reproductive bottleneck. So the whole world of dinosaurs became gay, and then they didn't produce, and then they went extinct. Okay, nobody wants to hear the truth, but I'm gonna put it out there for you. I'm being targeted. These organizations out there are trying to shut me up, but I won't let them do that because I'll say what I want. But look, their bones. They should have stayed dead, these dinosaurs, because that's what happens, right? They should have, but no, their bones were recently and unnaturally dug up, resurrected, if you will, and reanimated using forbidden sorcery magic of that. It was caused by that one nefarious family in the East who definitely doesn't sound like the punchline of every lazy conspiracy theory ever. No, this isn't a half-cocked conspiracy theory. This is the facts. This is journalism. These resurrected gay dinos, the dinos, of course, being freakishly strong due to regular prehistoric protein injections, they used their ungodly, forbidden strength to help construct a giant black magic space laser. This is where people get confused, because a lot of people have heard about the space laser, okay? And they try to tell you that the space laser was designed to zap people from space and kill them or something. I can't say that word on the internet. They try to delete them, right? But no, they don't know these are idiots. They don't have sources, man. It's not for assassinating people. Only absurd amateurs would think that. People that aren't in the know. That's misinformation spread by people who don't have smart friends like I do. People who do not tragically subscribe to my Substack, by the way, which is in the description. So the laser doesn't kill, man. It doesn't kill. That's ridiculous. It zaps gender clarity right out of your skull. That's what it does. They're behind this whole... Where do you think this came from? Where do you think all this confusion came from? It came from the space laser operated by the gay dinosaurs that were magically resurrected by the giant family unit, the magic family that lives it's headquartered in the East, okay? The space laser leaves helpless citizens wandering around Target, vulnerable to psychological manipulation by the sorcerer family's extended cousin network, and by dinosaurs the dinosaurs also take advantage of them by pretending their feathers are actually fur, which seems to be one of the things that the mind laser does in its confusion. They're attracted to fur. So it's attracted exactly as intended to their already confused, newly magic space laser zapped victims, man. That's how they get they keep the gay dinosaurs that were magically resurrected in line by having these victims because they act like, because dinosaurs, by the way, this is another conspiracy. Dinosaurs had feathers before. They weren't like lizard really, so they had feathers, but then they pretend the feathers were fur because the space laser like makes the people like furry stuff. So to their already confused newly magic space laser zapped victims. But here's the operational catch. To activate the laser, to activate the space laser, a ritual sacrifice must be made. You have to have a spell, basically, okay? It's a space laser, but it's magic. It's got black magic in it. So the spell requires 6 strands of hair, 6 toenail clippings from the left foot, and of course, 6 drops of blood from the sacred post-foreskin removal region. You know where I'm talking about because it has to be part of the foreskin removal spot. So now you know who could possibly supply that kind of oddly specific ingredients. Who could have acquired that? Because we know you need those ingredients to operate the space laser. Where do you think the occult people got that stuff? Who could have got that close to the victim? Yes, you guessed it. The grieving widow. The grieving widow, right. Sure. Or should we say the gatekeeper of the laser ritual? Because look, my sources are devastated to report this, truly heartbroken. They had to take full commercial break to recover. But really, who else do you explain, how else do you explain the laser's activation materials being successfully gathered? Because clearly the space laser manipulation tool was clearly operated, clearly was affected, and we know that you can't do it without these materials, and we know that the materials you couldn't get them unless you were close to the sacrificial person needed to make the space laser work in the first place. So you expect me to believe this is a coincidence? Do you expect me to believe this? Please, I'm a journalist. I don't believe in coincidences. I connect dots even when there aren't any, okay? Clearly she had to be in on it. It's the only explanation that makes sense, man. If you've lost your last 2 brain cells in a tragic bath salts accident, so once the materials were secured, nothing could stop the plot. Not logic, not evidence, not basic high school science, not even a strong cup of coffee and a reality check. It was all over.